The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's November the 4th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented today by Caneswear, your ultimate authority for all your University of Miami gear. The Canes are winning 9-0 now, and number 4 in the country. No better time to go gear up than right now. And Caneswear will have you covered. We'll talk more about Caneswear later in the show. But Matt, 9-0, number 4 in the country. Sometimes the way these games are going, it doesn't feel that way, but Miami was for many, many years winning some, losing some, winning some, losing some. This is an eerie reminder of the 2017 season where Miami got to 10-0. That one didn't end well. Hopefully this one will end better. Your thoughts coming out of a crazy game against Duke where the Canes jumped out to a 14-0 lead. You and I are sitting in the press box. You made a comment to me that this game is going to be a blowout. And then instantaneously, Duke peeled off, I think it was a 28-3 run to take the lead in the game. And then Miami settled down in the second half and obviously blew them out of the stadium. Your thoughts coming out of that game?
There's nothing different. The offense is championship level elite, and the defense is not. It's the opposite almost. It's a lot like these disappointing sort of run and shoots from the days of the past, where teams would win these games 42-35, 38-30. It's a shame. It just seems every time Miami has a chance to be great, either the offense isn't great or the defense isn't great. When both offense and defense are great, that's when you're going to win a national championship. The good news is Miami is good enough with Cam Ward in this offense to beat everybody on the schedule. And then you never know, right? Because ACC championship game, playoffs, anything can happen. So at least they're there. I understand fans are upset about the defense. I get it, but you have to just enjoy. If people say enjoy the ride, you just have to sort of take a breath. For how many years has this team been terrible, right? Or just not good, or not living up to expectations? And now that they're surpassing expectations, everyone's still unhappy. Nothing can make anybody happy. It's a shame.
I mean, you have a spectacular entertainment product to enjoy this year. It doesn't get much better than this when it comes to entertainment. Every time the offense gets the ball, you don't know what's going to happen. Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo are obliterating the Canes record book. It's like no other quarterback or any other wide receiver has ever played here before. The way that they are piling up numbers. The defense, everyone's up in arms about it, but the truth of the matter is, Matt, and it's a great mystery, and if you can explain it to us, please do. But there are moments during all of these games where the defense plays well. I mean, it's not like, oh my God, the defense is a disaster and you got to win every game, 50-49. I mean, it's not like that. Even on Saturday, and I'll take a quick look here. They scored 21 points in the first half, and then Duke scores a touchdown on its first possession of the third quarter. So that's 28 points. And then from that point on, the entire second half, all they got was a field goal. So they went from scoring 28 points essentially in a half of football plus one possession of the third quarter, and then we're held to 3 points the rest of the way. That's not horrific defense, okay? It's just not. I mean, the defense had to do some quality things during that stretch to hold them to 3 points. Maybe Duke ran out of a little bit of offense, that we don't know, but it's not like it's a disaster all of the time. And we came into the season knowing that this was not going to be a great defense, that this was going to be challenged. And yeah, there have been some things that have taken place that have been a surprise to us that I'll talk about in a moment. But Matt, it's not all a horror show.
Well, Duke wasn't held to 3 points. Duke held themselves to 3 points by, in the second half, overthrowing a deep pass into double coverage, not even close, easy interception. The quarterback just loses the ball for no apparent reason, easy fumble recovery. And then the pass just bounces off the receiver's chest because he can't catch, easy interception. Those are 3 drives out of the 5 in the second half. So you say Miami's defense was amazing. I would argue Duke's a terrible offense that stopped themselves. Duke had the second most points, the second most yards they've had all year, with the first being, I think, Middle Tennessee. I don't know if Miami fans remember who Middle Tennessee is. I think that's who it was. I mean, Elon gave up less yards than Miami did when they played Duke, okay? And then the second most points Duke scored all year, So it's not a great look, because it's all about perception. If this was against, Oregon, right? And you did this on defense, people would be like, this is amazing. But it's because you're playing they're still ranked 112th or something in the country, Duke, even after that game in total yards. I mean, they're a terrible offense. Miami made them look somewhat functional. Now, the other thing, you brought up the defense earlier, and I've already started looking at some of the clips because I'm going to start sort of taking a closer look at the defense for a story we'll do during the week. And there is a recurring theme to the defensive problems that you see. One of them is the cornerbacks can't cover. That's just obvious. Everyone knows that. One-on-one in this Lance Guidry aggressive defense, if the pass rush doesn't get there, the cornerbacks are not holding up, other than some dude named O.J. Frederick, who I didn't even know existed at this time last year. No, I knew he existed because he was a commitment, but he was not on the team last year because he's a true freshman, and he's the best player in the secondary right now.
On the team in spring practice either. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's doing great. Thank God for him, honestly. But outside of him, nobody can cover anybody. And then the other recurring theme, and you see it a lot on tape, which I didn't realize until I started looking. On a lot of these busts, pre-snap, you see at least one guy on defense pointing to somebody and like going like this, or pointing, like, what am I supposed to do? They don't know what to do.
I agree.
And that's not their fault. It's like when you take a math test, your teacher's supposed to teach you. If you get a 40 on the math test, it's not always you failing. It's your teacher failing you, right? Because the teacher's supposed to make sure you understand the material. Yeah. They have to explain it in a way that you can actually pass the test, okay?
There also were only 10 guys on the field on one of the touchdowns in the first half.
There's just a lot of inexcusable stuff on defense. I don't want to hammer Lance Guidry to death because, his scheme works when he has good cornerbacks. And fans are very upset that he's not, going more to too high looks, more to the zone. He's tried a little bit of everything, quite honestly, just from what I see on film. It just seems like nothing's really working, and it just shows up even worse when he sort of tries to do different things. Like there was a play I was looking at today, this morning. I woke up extra early, believe it or not. And right before this, I was looking at it. It's Wesley Bissainthe is lined up at the line, because this is typical Lance Guidry. Like he wants to line up 5 or 6 guys to the line and then drop guys backwards. Instead of having Wesley Bissainthe start, 5 yards, 7 yards off the line of scrimmage, whatever it may be, 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, he's on the line. Okay, at the snap, Wesley Bissainthe is charged with running backwards 20 yards to try and defend a receiver, who, of course, makes a touchdown catch. There's another play I saw yesterday where Tyler Barron is lined up at right end, and Bissainthe is going to blitz into the spot where Tyler Barron is. Okay, great. Well, guess what? Tyler Barron's assignment on that play is to sprint all the way to the sideline on his side to try and make a play on a receiver quick hitter. Okay, to the far side, to his side, but the far side on the out of bounds line. And now Wesley Bissainthe is blitzing from 5 yards back into the spot Tyler Barron has vacated. Well, guess what, Lance Guidry? The left tackle has no one to block. He's just sitting there waiting for Wesley Bissainthe, who is now 5 yards further back than Tyler Barron would have been. So, Lance Guidry just outthinks himself sometimes with these schemes. And it was a big play, by the way. And I'll include that in the film cut-ups. But these sorts of things where Lance Guidry thinks he's confusing the offense, he's confusing his own team. He's literally putting schemes in place that other teams are taking advantage of because other teams recognize what he's doing. If you're going to drop a defensive end into coverage a lot of times, you're going to try to have a defensive end cover boundary receivers or, within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Quick hitters are going to beat that all day long because you throw it to that guy right away and Tyler Barron's not chasing him down from 5 yards away, running sideways on the line of scrimmage. It's just not going to happen. So other teams have found holes in the Lance Guidry system, are taking advantage of it, and Lance Guidry hasn't, unfortunately, really been able to answer back. Maybe it's because of personnel problems. It's hard to say. I mean, people in the message boards are saying he's not even looking at film. Of course he's looking at film. Okay, that's ridiculous. All these guys do is study film. But whatever his system is that he's always done, he keeps doing it. It's not working. He doesn't seem to have another answer. And he told us previously that when this sort of thing happens, he falls back on his high school training because he says high school coaching is the ultimate in coaching. Well, apparently it's not. Okay, Mr. Guidry, because your systems that you've been putting in, like, they've been solved, and whatever you learned as a high school coach and are trying to teach these guys, they don't get it. I mean, that goal line 4th and 1 play was an embarrassment off a timeout. An embarrassment. I mean, Miami had no idea what the hell was going on. Did you know which play I'm talking about, Gary? That 4th and 1?
They called the time, but
two guys are like this.
They weren't organized. They had a waste of timeout. Yeah. Then they had a 3-minute TV timeout.
Yeah, but they didn't call. They didn't call another timeout. But there's 9 guys that wound up on one side of the field when the play's going the other way. I mean, it was a total disaster, an embarrassing play. Honestly, I've covered this team for how long? I've never seen a defense as confused on a single play as that play. Do you remember any defense ever looking that out of sorts and confused on a single defensive play in the 5,000 years you've been covering this team? Like, seriously, I don't.
I mean, I don't have that frame of reference on that. I mean, obviously, there have been times where guys were confused, but listen, like, you've knocked me back to earth, and I was trying to put a little bit of a bow on it because they did hold them to 3 points after that first.
Offense is great,
but I hear you. And you're not wrong. Okay, we expected the defense to be an issue this year. We didn't expect some of these extra things to pop up. And
well, it's not that. You expect them to get better. It seems like they're not getting better. And
they're not getting better.
Rush, you can argue the pass rush is getting worse. I don't think the corners were ever good. It was just a masked by bad offense, really bad offense the first 3 games. And the linebacker play just continues to be hit or miss. It's honestly inconceivable that some of these guys just aren't getting it or playing well, or like, even, I mean, how does Francisco Mauanoa get worse? He's worse. Last year. It's his 2nd year in the same system. He's had another year in the weight room. He's a year older, wiser. How is he playing worse? He's clearly playing worse.
The D-line in front of him
literally targeting him in the passing. They were 4 for 4 passing against him in that game. Every time they can get him lined up on anybody, a tight end receiver, they were just chucking the ball that way for completions. Like, I don't understand it. Again, I'm sure Lance Guidry's thrown his arms up in the air, like, doesn't know what to do. I hope he's, maybe he'll call Randy Shannon and ask for some advice. I don't know.
Well, let's look at a few things. And I know I'm going to rattle some cages and some of this stuff, but I'll apologize in advance. I just got to tell it like I see it. All right. Ruben Bain gets hurt.
Hold on. Before you do this.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say what I told you in the press box about Cam Ward's celebration? Can I tell people what I said to you, or is that like going to be too rude?
No, it's rude. It's rude. It's absolutely rude. And no, you cannot say it. I don't feel like walking around with these pink flamingo glasses all week. So nobody.
I thought it was pretty funny what I said. I guess we.
No, it wasn't funny.
We'll table it for after the season. We'll table it for after the season when we won a national championship. After we win a national championship, then I'll tell everybody.
No, it was outright rude. Okay, so no. You cannot.
You have to admit it was pretty funny, though.
No. You cannot. All right. So listen. All right. Ruben Bain gets hurt beginning of the Florida game. Ruben Bain clearly has gained some weight in the offseason, as you would expect him to. He's in his 2nd year. He's gotten bigger. Gets hurt in the Florida game and basically doesn't do much for a month or so. To my eye, and I know I'm going to upset some people because, listen, I like Ruben Bain too. Ruben Bain is a shadow of what he was a year ago, in my opinion. Now, he has some moments in games, but I'm talking about in terms of a consistent force. The reason he won Freshman of the Year and things like that, I don't feel like we are seeing the same Ruben Bain. And I felt all along that his eventual position was going to be defensive tackle, not defensive end. He's a bull rusher. He's not an edge rusher. He doesn't have the speed to be an edge rusher consistently in college football. In my opinion, I mean, we're not seeing. He's not beating anybody around the edge. Okay, have you seen one time this year where he's beaten anybody around the edge. I'd have to look up how many sacks he's got.
You know, I mean, it's a great point by you, because after my terrible joke that you hated, which I thought was hilarious, we started talking about Ruben because we started watching him specifically, and he looks massive as a defensive end, massive from up where we're up above the 300 level in the box, and slow, and they weren't even double teaming him. That's what we were shocked about. We're like, they're not even doubling him, and he can't do anything. There was one play where literally he got pushed out of a gap and they ran right by him. I mean, I don't know if he's playing not 100%, because it takes a little while to get your legs back off an injury, which he had, but something isn't right. And I agree with you. I think you make a great point that I think he'd be better served playing defensive tackle and putting Messidor at defensive end right now, even though Messidor is also probably more of a true defensive tackle than defensive end. But Messidor right now has more quickness, has more explosiveness. And Miami's not getting the pass rush it needs from Tyler Barron and Ruben Bain, a sentence I never thought I would say this season. So they need to do something different. They can't, Alston is still banged up. I don't even know if he'd be that big an answer anyway, because he's not really great against the run. So there's personnel issues up front on the defensive line. I thought Miami had the best defensive line in the ACC 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, and now I don't understand. This is what I keep saying. Like, how does this happen? Like, I can't wrap my head around it. They had, I think they had 11 total quarterback pressures, not a single hit on the quarterback last game. And I know what Lance Guidry's going to say today. He's going to say, oh, they had a quick passing game to offset our pass rush. Well, Lance, the reason they had a quick passing game is because guys were open really quickly. That's why you can throw the ball really quickly. If you cover guys, it won't be a quick passing game anymore. But no, I mean, obviously they were trying to get the ball out fast. I get it, but even when they didn't, the pass rush wasn't there. I mean, it's I think we're being a little too negative because we're not talking about the offense. I know
we're not being negative. We'll get to the offense,
but fans are going to be like, oh, they only talk about the bad stuff. So
we're just talking about what's on the minds of people. And if you look at our message boards, and one of the things that I always do a weekly Q&A with the fans, like the defense is what's on everybody's mind, and that's why
you're right. You're 100% right on that. Yeah. So I don't want people people always are like, you guys are so negative. I'm never watching again.
No, not negative. Listen, you've got the great eraser in Cam Ward. Okay, it doesn't matter what the defense has done this year. They've given up a lot of points. They're not playing up to standard. However you want to describe it, Cam Ward has erased it all. Okay, so it's great. 9-0, ranked 4th in the country. But getting back to what I was saying, so Ruben Bain has played 5 games. He's averaging 2 tackles a game. Okay, he has 4 tackles for loss in 5 games, 2.5 sacks. Okay, for 13 yards and losses. Okay, this is not anything great for Ruben Bain. Okay, now beyond that, Tyler Barron, your prize free agent, okay, and started out the year, played a great Florida game, played a great FAMU game. He had 4 sacks in the first 2 games, okay? He has had a half a sack in the last 7. It's unbelievable, okay? This guy was brought in to be, you look at him, and they were talking about, man, coming out of training camp, Tyler Barron, he might be able to be a first-round draft pick. That's how good they thought he was coming out of training camp. He hadn't done he's played like maybe a half a game in 7 weeks. Like, he is not making an impact at all. Simeon Barrow has been very, very good. He's been consistent, and he's been good. And I don't think anybody's got any beefs on Simeon Barrow. But the Messidor to defensive tackle experiment, which is partially designed to be able to continue to keep Ruben Bain at end, has been a colossal, I'm just going to call it a disaster. I think it's been a disaster. Hakeem Messidor is a really good football player, and I think he could be a very impactful defensive end. I mean, as it is playing tackle, he's got 3.5 sacks. But he is not impacting the game anywhere near what you would think he would be with his ability level. And so I think that's an issue. I think Messidor is out of position to tackle. I don't think they have anybody else at tackle that's beyond just a rotation player. I mean, Ahmad Moten is okay. He's averaging 1 tackle a game. I mean, that's not nothing to write home about. And they don't have a great talent level that we hoped they might have. I mean, CJ Clark, Marley Cook, very pedestrian performances the whole year. Most of the time, you wouldn't even know whether they really played or not. And I don't want to come across as overly negative, but I think that what we have seen is a startling deficiency at the defensive line position, which we never imagined we would see this year. Okay, now you're talking about linebacker, Maui Noah, not even playing close to the level he played at a year ago. He was pretty damn good a year ago. This year, he's been very average. His tackling has been hit or miss. He's been exploited multiple times in pass coverage. All of that said, you would not want to even begin playing defense without Kiko Mainoa, okay? He is by far the best linebacker on the team, and he's not playing well. Basaint does some good things at times. I'm not sure the consistency's there. He seems to disappear a lot. The cornerbacks are really struggling this season. The safeties are okay. Mish Powell's okay when his lack of speed is not being exploited. Okay, but the point is, Jaden Harris has been hit or miss. Saquon Patterson's a young kid learning. You have problems at every layer of defense, which is why we're sitting here week 9 talking about the defense. Matt, they have a lot of work to do on this side of the ball. We're seeing that they have a lot of recruiting to do on this side of the ball. I'm expecting that to get attacked like gangbusters here in a month from now. I think they'll be looking for a lot of portal help on defense in particular. They'll probably be looking for a few bodies at wide receiver too, with all the departures they're going to have. But this team needs a lot of help on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm expecting that to be a big priority here coming up when the portal opens in December.
I mean, yeah, as you look to next year, obviously there's going to be no Cam Ward. There's going to be no Xavier Restrepo, Jacoby George, Sam Brown. I mean, there's a lot of pieces. Jalen Rivers probably will leave. Zach Carpenter will be gone. I mean, there's going to be a lot of holes all over the place to fill on offense. And then on defense, the play has been so subpar, and you really just aren't sure if the young guys are really going to be that good. That's the issue. That's what I always bring up with you is the transfer portal begets the transfer portal, right? Because if you bring in transfer portal guys for 1 year, how do you know if the guys behind them that are freshmen or redshirt freshmen or even sophomores are ready? Because they're maybe getting some second team reps, garbage reps, working on the scout team, working in practices with the twos. It's just hard to tell how they're going to react in major game situations. Like, yeah, you get a sense that Popo Aguirre will be fine in terms of backups now on defense, right? You get a sense Saquon Patterson will be fine, right? OJ Frederick's going to be really, really great. But aside from them right now, what young guys that aren't playing can you say, oh, next year, we know these guys are going to be ready? I mean, Justin Scott.
Yeah, I mean, there's hardly anybody they can put on the field right now.
Yeah, Justin Scott played barely any reps. I mean, you just don't.
Scott gets reps, but you hope next year he's going to be a dude. But you don't know that, and you can't count on that.
Booker Pickett has a sack in garbage time. When no one blocks him. I mean,
he had one snap the other day, and somebody's mentioned Booker Pickett to me.
Right. So now do they bring in another 20 transfers next year, 15 transfers next year? Like, that's what I don't want. This is what I was warning against. But they may not have a chance. This may be transfer portal you again. Just like we're turning to FSU Part 2 if we do that. And you saw what happened. If you don't get the right guys in the portal, you get the wrong quarterback. If you get the wrong quarterback, if you get the wrong guys on the offensive line, at receiver, on defense, you get the wrong chemistry because they're in here for 1 year all trying to do the same thing and make money. It doesn't always work. And that's why I always say, eventually it needs to be homegrown with you missed 3 or 4 guys didn't work out in recruiting. Okay, those are the free agents you take. Again, we have 11 starters on this team that are transfer portal guys. Having that every year is not a recipe for long-term success every single year to me. I know people disagree with me. So, this is the issue as you look to next year and beyond. But again, we're in this year and people are enjoying this year. So let's enjoy this year because Miami's 9-0, ranked 4th in the country. I don't think this is 2017 all over again because in 2017, the quarterback's name was not Cam Ward. I think this is I think this team would beat the 2017 team 41 to 21. Okay.
Handily. Yep.
Yeah. So, and the opponents are not real good this year. Everyone knows that. I know people don't want us always harping on it, but they're not. There's no top 25 team. So, is that Miami's fault? No, but it is what it is.
But you can't put your head in the sand. I mean, we're a month away from the portal, and our job is to look at everything. And I do think that one area of the program and I've been saying this for years, I still say personnel evaluation. The teams that figure this out in college football are going to be the ones that are going to be able to sustain success year after year after year. And making a few less mistakes every year in recruiting is, to me, a big deal. And you would like to have more OJ Frederics this year, and they don't. I mean, it's just a fact. They don't. And it's something that Mario's going to have to look at, I think, and have to improve. I had a vision. I thought when Lazo Highsmith came in, I'm like, now hire 3 or 4 real experienced guys at evaluating personnel. You're going to have to pay them at an NFL level or higher to get them to come. Put together a scouting department. They're like, when you're recruiting, regular recruiting and the portal, the degree of evaluations that you have to make in the volume of them is enormous. Okay. And especially when you get to the portal, I mean, you got to be able to move fast, man. Like you might have a couple hours to make some calls and investigate kids and make sure that, you're getting, the right guys and things like that. It's a real challenge, and you can't do it with assistant coaches anymore. Back in the day, you used to be able to have your assistant coaches do all that vetting of players. You can't do that anymore. It's too many guys, too many spots, too much coming and going. And I just think that that's something I would love to see Mario look at in the offseason. Get outside the box when it comes to the evaluation of talent out there in the high school ranks and in the transfer portal. But as far as the defense, Matt, I think this is what we're going to have for the whole season. I think every game.
You're saying this. Do you remember 2 weeks ago you were saying the exact opposite? You're like, oh. No,
I wasn't saying that.
Yes,
I have felt this way. I felt pretty good coming out of Gainesville. I thought the defense did pretty well.
A couple weeks ago, your whole thing, we had a whole big discussion about it. I said they are what they are on defense. You said they haven't even reached their ceiling yet. You said
they haven't, but they're not getting better.
Now you're saying they are what they are. That means they are at their ceiling. That's the definition of they are what they are.
They're not getting better. They haven't. I don't think they have.
2 weeks ago, you were saying they have so much room. They're going to grow. They're going to get so much better.
I'm not saying grow. I know,
whatever.
but that was a few weeks ago. I did say that. I said, and I'll say the same thing. We're 9 games into the season. I don't think this team has come close to peaking. I don't think they've come close to reaching their potential.
So which is it? Is the defense is what it is, or they're still going to be much better because they have this much higher of a ceiling?
I'm starting to lose faith that it's going to happen. I mean, we're 9 weeks in.
Right. This is what they are. They're an inconsistent defense, and they have so much potential. That's why you say they have a high ceiling. But at this point, it's been every ACC game they've struggled and had busts in every single game.
Yeah.
You could argue maybe FSU not as much.
I'm not seeing
the improvement. FSU too.
I'm not seeing the improvement. I mean, I'm honestly not, and I'm surprised that I thought as the weeks passed that Ruben Bain would get back to being Ruben Bain. I've like been praying, will Tyler Barron, please return, and he had a good game 2 games ago where we said, all right, Tyler Barron, he played hard, he was a force on the field. I didn't think Tyler Barron was a force on the field against Duke. I mean, some people sometimes like to say to me, Gary, you're missing things. I don't know, man. Like, I didn't see a force there against Duke the other day, and I'm disappointed. I mean, I think it should be better than what it is. And so anyway, Matt, so look, they're 9-0. Now we got a trip to Georgia Tech coming up, and the Georgia Tech matchup, they're predominantly, I believe their strength is running the football. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Hopefully Miami, Guidry can scheme it up well enough that they can force Georgia Tech to be a passing football team, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see how they can defend, and we'll look a little closer at it here as the week goes on. But this is a game on the road. It does not figure to be easy. Georgia Tech it will be very, very, very inspired for this game. I think it's good that it's at noon. I think that helps Miami, that it's at noon. And, we'll see how it plays out. Then they have an open week. And then you got Wake Forest and Syracuse up ahead. So, we don't know what Syracuse is going to look like at the end of the year, but it is looking like Miami can manage through the regular season like this. And then, we'll see what happens if it does play out that way and they get to what looks like it's going to be SMU in Charlotte. And SMU is a very hot football team. They're playing very, very well and winning, obviously, games. And all the former Canes players are showing up out there. And, that could be an interesting football game because of the way that Rhett Lashley can dial up offense. So this will be a week-to-week thing. Enjoy it. We are. On the flip side, the offense has been pretty darn good. They have some empty series every now and then, and it's not perfect, and they know they can get better. But it's very hard to nitpick at anything, Matt, on the offensive side of the ball. Even you, who loves to, take some digs and get in there. I can't find anything that we could sit here and say this needs to get better or that needs to get better. They're running the ball great. Cam Ward, he can eliminate a couple of his bad mistakes a game, like throwing the ball across his body and up for grabs in the middle of the field. He did it the other day, got intercepted again. But beyond that, the receivers are playing great. The tight ends are playing great. The running backs are playing great. The O-line is playing great. There's a reason why this is the top offense in the country.
Yeah, and I was critical a little bit of Shannon Dawson's play calling against Florida State the prior week. But in this game, this is what I wanted to see, right? They had 2 back sets, which they hadn't had all year, like different things to show future opponents, hey, you better prepare for this. Hey, you better prepare for that. Just throw everything in the bucket, and then teams won't be able to prepare for everything. And then you can have wrinkles off of that too. I mean, so he showed that. He got, finally got Elijah Lofton, a carry at running back, right, as a power back, which I love to see, right? Even though you have Mark Fletcher, Damian Martinez, I love seeing Elijah Lofton there because you know what? You could fake a handoff to him and throw to him, right? He's a fantastic downfield receiver. You line him at running back, he can do so many different things. I've been begging for him to have more of a role. That could set up a play later in the season, right? Where he's at running back on the goal line, you fake the handoff to him, and he actually winds up catching the touchdown pass, stuff like that, because he's so good as a receiver. And then you also had obviously Xavier Restrepo breaking records. And I started looking at some of his film too yesterday. His ability to find the soft spots in zones is uncanny. Any defense that tries to play zone against Miami, it's not going to happen. They have to do like a box and one in basketball. They got to put a guy on Xavier Restrepo one-on-one and play his zone behind it because, he is unnatural. It's almost like he's gone to the future to find out where the hole in the zone is and just winds up there every time. It's really remarkable, his instinct against zone coverage. And against press coverage, he gets open right away also. That's why he broke the records. He's very difficult to cover. He's not the fastest, strongest, biggest, but he's so smart and he works so hard. And if you notice, he's always got an extra yards because he's one of these guys who innately understands that first of all, he has a very low center of gravity. So I think 5'9" in real life. And when he sees contact coming, he gets low to the point that a defender can't wrap up his legs because they can't get to his legs. His body's in the way. And when they hit his body, they bounce off of him. It's why time and time again, you see people just unable to tackle the guy. It's remarkable. So this offense is clicking on all cylinders. I love that Shannon Dawson's finally coming out of his comfort zone and doing some different looks for once, because FSU showed him up quite a bit, I think. I think he probably felt that. They'd figured out the route trees. They were all over it with quick enough cornerbacks to stick with the receivers, obviously. And he found something different. So that was great. So the offense, I'm obviously extremely excited about. And that's why it's just a shame. I said this at the beginning of the show. Every year Miami's great on one side of the ball, they falter on the other side of the ball. And it winds up costing them at some point, usually. Maybe this will be the exception to the rule. What's the saying? Offense wins championships? Is that the saying? I can't remember what Vince Lombardi said. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So we're good, right?
Oh my God! All right, let's take a break and let's hear from our friends at CaneSport.
Welcome to CaneSport.
New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSport has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. CaneSport, the spot Miami fans shop.
And
by the way, it might have been Bear Bryant. I just Googled it. But Vince Lombardi also said it, so I'm not entirely wrong. All right.
All right. Well, CaneSport's got a little bit of everything for the Canes fan, no matter what you might want. T-shirts, jerseys, hats, polos, hoodies, flags, decals, magnets. If it's got a U logo on it or can have a U logo on it, they've got it at CaneSwear. And encourage you guys, go check out their store, 2655 South University Drive in Davie if you live locally. Even if you live in Dade County, man, it's worth the trip up, drive up, half hour, whatever, go check out CaneSwear. Brett and Ken and the guys there, they'll take good care of you. They even have gear for the Dolphins, not that you would want it, the Panthers, Inter Miami. No matter what your needs are, they have it at CaneSwear. Men, women, babies, and hide your ears, Matt Shodell. They will even dress your pet if you would like to dress up your pet. Matt hates that. He doesn't like the idea of dressing up a dog, but some people like to dress up their dogs. So get on over to CaneSwear at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. If you don't live local, you can shop them any time, any day of the week at caneswear.com. CaneSwear for all your Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs. All right, so on the website today, obviously, we've broken down this game every which way you can. You've got tons of stories there. You've got my Q&A with the fans that's ongoing, which if you don't read that every week on our message board, strongly encourage you to do so. There's a ton of good conversation in there. I try to give everybody a little insight into different things, and in my opinion, it's one of the better things that we do each week. So make sure that you check out our Q&A with the fans on the website. In addition to that, we have a lot of coverage, like I said, on the game, a lot of analysis, a lot of opinion columns. So make sure you check those out. Also, a ton of recruiting went on this weekend. A lot of players in. You had several 5-star 2026 recruits. We've got stories on all of their visits. Make sure you check that stuff out as well, including the number one offensive lineman in the country, the number one running back, the number one offensive tackle. So make sure you check all of that stuff out. Azubi Charles goes inside the lines with 4-star commit Joshua Moore. That's a nice feature to check out. He tells Azubi he wants to be a crib legend. How about that? And we also have another Inside the Lines feature with the Cavender twins, Haley and Hannah, as they begin the women's basketball season here this week. And Azubi did a really nice in-depth interview with Haley and Hannah Cavender, talking about all different things, their NIL, their basketball careers. So make sure that you check that out as well. A couple program notes for you. Later today, we will have multiple chances to hear from Mario Cristobal. Make sure you check that out. We're going to talk to Lance Guidry about the state of the defense. We're going to talk to Shannon Dawson about the magnificence of the offense and Xavier Restrepo becoming the leading receiver in Miami history. Cam Ward getting ready to break records himself. Tuesday night, there will not be a CaneSport live show in deference to the election results that everybody is going to be glued to, I'm sure. So we will not have a CaneSport live show this week, but we will have a Lamar Thomas show on Wednesday night. So hopefully you guys can join us Wednesday night for the Lamar show. And that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us, and start getting ready for that big trip to Atlanta this weekend. Looking forward to seeing a lot of you Georgia Canes, the big Canes contingent up there in Georgia. Always love when Miami goes to Georgia Tech to play the Yellow Jackets. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you so much for starting your day out with us, everybody, and we will see you next time.